This podcast is brought to you by Blue Guardian, the prop firm that lets you trade with EAs or any style you like at any time.
Our equity curve is a representation of the beliefs we have about the market. You need to be honest with yourself, and traders are not very honest with themselves. They're not looking in the mirror. Like, they're facing the market, which is like the most real mirror the world has got to offer, because that literally will expose all the flaws you can't even see. Music can alter your state of mind. So someone can literally be listening to a song and it's just like led him into a daydream about the past. And all of a sudden there's a trade and he's just done something impulsively. Whereas the best trades come when you take your time. Maybe do it 2 minutes a day and then slowly like increase the length of time. You don't want to do it apparently anyways longer than like 5-10 minutes, because your brain will wander off. Imagine, my hand is my thought.
Episode 234. What's up, folks? We got Younis Ward coming up here on the show, where we do a deep dive into the trader's mind, touching on topics that are never really talked about. So stay tuned for that, so you know that you're not missing out. Other things going on here, we've got Gensler, who's on my live streams, breaking down a market phenomenon that I don't think it's even on the internet. It's come from his ICT background, and he's calling it the Hong Kong gap. You've got to see how precise this thing is, and you could add it into pretty much any trading system that you're currently using. So that's a video that's dropping on the channel very soon. Hit subscribe, like, and that notifications bell here. Don't miss it. Other things going on here, we've got 5 traders taking on the Blue Guardian 100k challenge, including myself, and a new trader hitting the live streams this week, Zach. So welcome, Zach, to the show. Head over there and check them out. And remember, you can check out that Gensler Hong Kong gap trading on the Asian session pretty much every day of the week. Other things going on here, this July, we've got a promo on the Robot Builders Club. So go and check that out. You can get yourself a Blue Guardian evaluation when you join. So folks, looking forward to welcoming some new traders on board in our robot building efforts. All right, let's jump into the show. But first, hear from my sponsor, Blue Guardian. Our prop firm sponsor, Blue Guardian, allows traders to trade any style that works for them. EAs and trade copiers are allowed trade through the weekends and trade news. The way you trade is fully up to you. Blue Guardian also has one of the best dashboards on the market, giving you full control of your trades and trade data. And on top of this, built into the dashboard is the Guardian Protector that helps protect you from hitting that max daily loss and stops you over trading. Guard up to 400k in capital with Blue Guardian and receive super fast profit splits in just 14 days. Check out the link and coupon in the description to get 10% off your next Blue Guardian evaluation. All right, folks, we've got Younis Ward here in the house, all the way over there in the UK. Welcome to the show, Younis.
Thank you, Cam. Appreciate you inviting me, honestly.
Well, folks, I think we're in for a bit of a treat today. So Younis has been trading for about 4 or 5 years, and he's, for the last year, been giving people some advice into his special world of trading mindset and how you can alter it, or some of the things, your patterns you may be doing that are affecting your trading, and how to potentially fix them. So this is going to be a bit of a mind blower for people listening and watching. So let's start off. Younis, do you want to give us a quick sort of highlight of your trading history, and then we'll dive into these mindset kind of related questions.
Yeah, so just a quick summary on my journey. I've been trading for 4 years now, going into the 5th year, and literally it took me around the 3rd and 4th year to realize that I'm literally going in loops, creating the same results. And that's when I decided to invest in the psychology aspect of trading, because we've always heard it's the most important aspect, but I didn't want to continue just giving it lip service. So I actually did invest most of my time into it, and it completely changed the direction of my trading career, for sure.
Well, look, we're going to dive into some questions here, which are going to get to the meat of it. So we're not going to sort of beat around the bush. So to start off with, all right, so we know that trading is a game of uncertainty. People placing trades don't know what the outcome's going to be, although some people do think they do know what the outcome's going to be. Can you give us an example of how sort of that, well, your thoughts on that, and then how it relates to life, normal life?
Yeah, so most things in trading, most difficulties, most obstacles, if not all of them, for me, they have a reflection in our worldly life. And uncertainty is it's the main thing. Without the ability to embrace uncertainty, you stand zero chance in creating consistency in trading. I've mentioned numerous times in the past that the mind has a tendency, it wants to feel like it's in control. It wants to know what's going to happen next. And if you think about it in life, if I'm praying to God to show me my potential spouse, I'm not going to indulge in the forbidden fruit whilst I wait to be shown who's meant for me, like for a lifetime. Do you know what I mean? Same as a person that's applying for a job. You apply for jobs, you're not going to tell yourself, I don't know when a job application is gonna, be accepted or respond to me, so I'm gonna go and steal until they respond. Same as trading. You don't know when your edge is going to present itself, but you should know that it will present itself if you've built the trust in yourself and in the market. So do you see the correlation?
Yeah. Look, I mean, my wife actually went through the whole job recruitment process for the first time, and I think she hadn't worked for 15 years or something, 17 years, and went through that, and it was like I kept sort of trying to remind myself, because she'd get to the interview stage, and she'd get to I think she had like interview after interview, and then, you shortlisted, you didn't get the job. Even reference checks, you didn't get the job. So I've crying out loud, what do you have to do? And you sort of forget that at the end of the day, you're probably going to get a job, right? It will happen. It will happen. And eventually she did. But it was like, at the time, you're sort of thinking, what do I have to do? I've put in all the work, I've done the interviews, I've got the numbers, and nothing, and the outcome hasn't happened. So it does, correlate, definitely.
Yeah. So like as you just said, like if you think about it, most of the time it ends up actually working out better than we expected. It's just we go through this like period of being tested. Like it's the same. Like when I wait for a setup, I get rewarded eventually. But you just get tested. I feel like most things in life, you get tested before you're rewarded. And again, like waiting for, like, why would I take a setup? Why would I try to like control the outcome? Because I'm waiting for what's mine. I'm like, what I might take might be somebody else's setup, somebody else's edge, somebody else's potential spouse. I want what's mine. I want what's best for me. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's to develop patience, and it's a skill.
And so I mean, with that in mind, like, and this really relates back to that sort of recruitment process and the FOMO, right? So if you've got a couple of jobs on the table, or you've got one that's come through, and you go, well, I haven't had any other offers, I'm going to take that one. I mean, how do you think FOMO relates to this whole sort of uncertainty and everything, and jumping into random trades when you shouldn't be, taking that random job that you didn't really like, or you thought was 50-50, and waiting for something better?
Yeah, like a trader that blames FOMO, it comes down to lack of experience. Like the thing is, traders think that FOMO is like FOMO is the action. FOMO is like what's the trigger? What actually caused FOMO? And majority of the time, the trader will realize that they don't truly know what they want to see. Like the majority of traders in this industry, they don't truly know what they want to see in the moment when they're in front of the charts. They come to the charts and they have conflicting thoughts of like, wait, is my setup present? Let me take it and find out. And it's like, we're not here to experiment. All of this experimenting and thoughts, this should have been done before you sit in front of the charts. Like Mark Douglas has said it, all of the thinking should be done before you sit in front of the charts. There should be no thoughts. Either your edge presents itself or it doesn't. It's the same as, it's the same as like you're stood on the bus stop. You're waiting for your bus to appear. You know what it looks like, and you trust that bus that you're waiting for is going to take you to your desired destination. Why would you get on another bus? If you get on another bus, you clearly are not sure of what you're waiting to see, or you don't remember that patience. Like how are you going to have patience without trust? There's like these underlying skills that go hand in hand. So for me to be patient and willing to wait even a couple of weeks for a setup, I had to build the trust that the market will provide a setup. I just don't know what day, but I know within which time window it will. And how did I develop that trust? Because I've got data to back it up. I've got proven data. I've got over 90 setups that are exactly the same. They've just happened on different occasions on a different place on the chart. And I like, for example, I speak to a lot of traders, and they like, most of them don't even know on average how often their setup, that their edge provides a setup. And it's like, if you don't know, then you're going to find out for yourself. Whereas I know my edge provides 1 to 4 setups on average a month. So why would I take 30 setups in a week?
Yeah.
26 of them are already invalid. Do you see what I mean? You need to understand your edge like you understand,
And even then, I mean, I think you even need to understand, like, okay, you might get 2 or 3 a month, but then I'm sure that when you went back testing this, you would have had months where there were no setups. And so therefore you've got to be, I mean, you may not have, but you've got to be ready for that month where you go at the end of the month, there were no setups. Okay. There's probably going to, so that in itself is difficult. I mean, how does somebody get to grips with that on a day-to-day basis? So that they're like, they're there going, there's a high chance my setup's not going to appear. For somebody who's like, swing trading like yourself.
Yeah, again, a lot of the confidence will come from collecting data, whether that's from backtesting and also combined with live trading, because you're going to collect. So, for example, when I was trading my edge, I know that the last 2-3 years in August, there's the only month that didn't provide a setup. So I've decided that I'm taking this August off. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
What you said is incredible. Again, it's not about when to know when to be in the market. It's actually more important to know when to stay out the market. And again, if I know it presents 1 to 4 times on average, and there are some months where it presents once, then when I, for example, miss an opportunity, but I don't call it miss unless I was actually in front of the chart. See, you don't miss something if you weren't present when it occurred. That's more like it's not meant to be. You was elsewhere. What's meant to be will not miss you. And what's meant to be, what's not meant to be will miss you. So if I was in front of the chart and I missed the trade for some reason, I was looking for longs when it was shorts, then I understand, I'm able to accept that based on that data, that okay, I've just missed the trade. That could be the only one this month, but I'm still going to be shot like a razor blade, because there still could be 2-3 more that appear. But if they don't, I'm already, and it's just, again, I've spoken about this, acceptance is a big thing in trading. Do you know what I mean?
Folks, I'm here in the black bull markets trading floor, and I'm surrounded by their customer support agents who are ready to take your calls, emails, or live chat 24/7. Now, if you're a newbie or experienced trader, you know your trading's in good hands.
It's funny, he just gave me like a nice little analogy there. Like, if you were to, when you cross a road, right, and there's, you wait for a break in the cars and then you cross. I suppose going in and, missing a trade is essentially, if you're going to just stand on the road and wait for the cars are going to hit you eventually, right? You just, if you're waiting for that time to cross the road, that's essentially sort of what you're doing. You don't want to cross, you don't just stand there and take everything that comes along, and you're not going to be there very long. You're going to probably end up in the ground. One thing I did want to touch on there was, so you mentioned people like to experiment, and it is, could be experimenting with crossing this road here. Why do they want to do that? Why do people want to not just sit out and they go, well, what if this, what if? What's the sort of thing that gets people in that mindset of like, okay, well, my setup's not here, but that one's kind of like my setup, and I want to see what would have happened. How do they deal with that? What are the sort of tricks and stuff to stop people from doing that kind of behavior?
Yeah, it's a very hard one. That one took me a very long time to overcome. I still notice thoughts of like my mind trying to get me to almost be convinced that I'm seeing what I want to see, but I'm not. So we all have a trader in us and we all have a gambler in us. And it's very important to know who's at play in the very moment, because the trader uses their deliberate mind. So I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but I've dug into this in detail, and this is a game changer, where there's the intuitive mind and there's the deliberate mind. The intuitive mind is the one that answers like 2 + 2 or ties your shoelace, something that doesn't require a lot of conscious effort. The deliberate mind is when you really need to use your conscious effort. And there's a great like trading psychologist where I learned that like when you're at the chart and you first come to the chart in the morning, even after like a great morning routine, sometimes your brain just like does like it's just like it does an analysis, but like without using much conscious effort, and it just builds like an analysis like, oh, it looks like longs based on this. But if you actually challenge that analysis, you might realize that, oh no, this is actually shorts, it's not longs. And that's because the deliberate mind, that's the deliberate mind is when you're, like I said, when you're using conscious effort to actually. So what I do is I actually challenge my analysis. I challenge my analysis, my initial analysis, because when I challenge it, I'm intentionally now, I'm like, me as a trader, I'm intentionally trying to identify, is this actually my edge, or was I about to trade on autopilot? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, in regards to your question, they need to understand that, like the deliberate mind, they need to again, it comes from, honestly, a lot of it comes from lack of understanding their edge, because lack of understanding your edge has affected now your belief that you have a long-term expectancy, like an actual profitable edge in the long run. And so you're just going to try and make things happen like now, rather than if you truly knew that, this is what you want to see, and if you did this at the right time, you're going to be profitable in the long run, you would do it. But because you don't know that, you're trying to make things happen.
It's almost like some kind of especially for you, it's almost like there must be a level of acceptance where you've accepted that 2 to 3 setups a month is what you're happy with, because it works, right? So you've got that acceptance. And how did you get that acceptance? How did you accept the fact that, like, I don't want to try and trade every day. I don't want to be in like multiple trades a day. I don't want to be in like at least one trade a week, or two to 3 trades a week. So how did you get to that point where you're like, you know what, this is, I'm happy with this, I don't need to go any further? Or is it something you think, well, maybe in the future I will go further? I don't know. How do you compartmentalize that?
That's a great question. I didn't suddenly accept it. You can't sometimes suddenly accept the reality of things. I actually had to first accept it's a reality before I actually can accept, like, okay, wait, you need to develop patience to be able to adapt to that reality. So it took me time. So first I went from, taking this much trades to taking this much, as I slowly, that acceptance became realer and realer within my DNA. Like as I accepted more, like internally, that there is only 1 to 4 setups a month on average, I saw myself take lesser and lesser and lesser trades, to the point where I've clearly, evidently shaped my perception of trading, where before it's not that they want a trade every day. It's that they want to be in the market every day. There's a difference. They want to have that winning feeling every day. They want to be, because trading, the market is the biggest place for entertainment in the world, and they want to be entertained. And whereas I've changed that, I've reversed psychology, where I feel like a trader when I'm protecting my capital by staying out the market, such as this week, 3 days in a row, no trade placed. I look back, I haven't missed anything. I've just protected my capital. So if I was in the market, it would have been some sort of loss. So that to me feels more of a trader than when I'm in the market. So for me, it's like, also, like, you know, people talk about like find an edge that suits your personality, but have we forgotten that your personality shapes your personal reality, and how you think, how you act, and how you feel creates your personality, and you can change your personality. So I never used to be this patient. I actually used to be impatient. I used to get frustrated when the food's not ready on time, let alone wait 3 weeks for a setup. So patience is a skill, and I accepted that I have to develop it. And again, you know, it reflects in life. If you don't have patience in life, you don't have patience on the chart. And if you can develop it on the chart, it'll reflect in life. So yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Funny, so it just reminds me of like when I went to get married, which was in Fiji of all places. I was living in the UK and had been there for probably 5 years, maybe, and living in London. So I was like, you know, things happen. It's got to happen like this. Get to Fiji, order a beer, I think it was, in the pool, and like 3 minutes went by. I'm like, what's going on? What is going on? 5 minutes went. I'm like getting stressed out. I literally just landed, and then like my parents look there and they go, "It's Fiji. It's Fiji time," and the beers arrived like in 20 minutes after I ordered them, and that was the first day. By day 3, I'd changed. I'd changed. My level of patience had increased. It's like, okay, it's Fiji time. I'm going to wait for my meals, going to wait for my drinks. So you're right. You can change your personality to a certain degree in terms of the patient side. Now, what about, you know, people jump on social media and they see, you know, other people doing like maybe trading every day or getting these huge risk to reward ratios, or they're getting it in their ear from their spouse or family members or parents or whatever it is. You know, what are you doing? You're wasting your time. You're not making any money. You're losing money. You're spending all your time at the charts. How does somebody get around other people's opinions in their trading?
Yeah, so comparing yourself to others is the thief of happiness. Like, it's the number one way to be unhappy. Do you know what I mean? So I personally, I'm inspired by people creating not better results. Understand, a trader that's creating better results doesn't necessarily mean they have a better edge. It means they're able to follow their edge better than you can follow your own. So for me, I'm inspired by their mindset, which is very few. And the most difficult thing for traders, including myself, what I went through is you go through a long period of time thinking that you're trading for yourself, but you're not. You began by trading for yourself, and then all the doubts and the criticism from your family and friends led you to now the next few years. Most traders are trading to prove somebody that it's not a pipe dream. And I went through that for a long time. And when you do that, you don't learn from your mistakes. You don't learn from your losses and stuff. So, and unconsciously, like comparing yourself to others can make you feel like your speed of self-development, your speed of progress is slow. And it's everybody progresses based on different variables. Like, this person might have more time to study the charts. This person might be focused on the right thing. So I think, like, trading to prove others.
What's the solution to that? What ideas do you have to help somebody overcome that? Like, I mean, I personally, I struggle with that all the time because I run a trading podcast, and like everyone expects me to be like some kind of, whiz kid trader, and I'm just not. And my journey's been a long one. So I mean, I'm interested to hear what thoughts you've got around how does somebody who has got that sort of pressure on them, whether it be family members or friends or even just seeing stuff on social media, how do they overcome that?
I think when it comes to trading, it's different to like NBA and like these high performance sports, because in NBA and football, you can be like, there is a top goal scorer, there is the best footballer, there is like Kobe Bryant in NBA. Do you know what I mean? But in trading, you need to be content with what you've been given. So I'm content with my 1 to 20 setups. Like I'm content with my progress, my results. This trader, whether he's creating better results or not, like I said, I'm inspired by your ability to follow your rules, but it doesn't make me feel insignificant, because when I compare myself to people, I compare myself to the people that have less than me. So it doesn't affect my happiness or my self-worth. That's how I live my life. I compare myself to people that have less than me, that are less fortunate than me. Do you know what I mean? So I always feel like, obviously, that, you know, I show gratitude and it's blessing, but when it comes to family and friends, it's very tough. You have to turn the noise down. And a lot of it are the close ones around you that are causing you to you know, jump on the chart or trade out of urgency, because you need to prove to them it's wrong. So you need to and you think you do that by, you know, catching a winning trade. And if you do that and you're lucky, next time you're going to do the same thing. When your mum, I mean, I grew up like, I honestly, if the closest people around me, which some of them were extremely supportive, but if the people that I needed support from supported me, I probably would be like successful a lot faster. But I had to fight. My self-doubts were created by, you know, the adults around me that were telling me like, you need to get a normal job, dude. Like you need to get out of this fantasy that you're in. And at some points when you're having a losing streak or you blow a challenge, you will start to think, wait, are they correct? Like, could this be a pipe dream? But with me, I've learned the difference between successful people and average achievers is they've got this strong sense of self-belief. And I don't know how I got around my self-belief, but I told myself from day dot that I imagined God putting a letter through my letterbox that said, you are going to become an extremely successful trader. I can't tell you when, but you're going to become it in the next few years, let's say. And you now act different. So you now don't try to rush the process. So for example, Cam, if you got a letter through the door from, whether it's a high power, but someone or something that you really trust, yeah, their words, you got a letter that said, Cam, you're going to be making $10,000 to $50,000 every month in 3 years from now. Yeah. What would don't you think like you'll live your life and you'll take actions in a different manner in that 3 years, because you now have this like certainty that you are going to achieve your goal? That's what I mean. I've approached this game, I've approached this process as if I'm certain I am going to make it. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, I go like, you almost start living your life like you've made it sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think that's what even attracts it.
Belief is I mean, something that's come up in, like, I think the last few interviews I've done, they're not necessarily on the show yet, but they're coming up, or they've been. Belief seems to be a big thing. And I do remember one that I had ages ago where a guy, similar to what you're saying, said, grab a laptop, go down to a cafe and sit at the charts and pretend you are that trader who is trading from a cafe, and just pretend, just make it like that's your pretense, is like, if I'm going to be a trader, this is what I'm going to do. And so build it into your mind that, okay, this is reality. And then the belief comes, you know, very shortly after that. So yeah, that is interesting. I mean, what about like, can somebody undermine this kind of belief with say, for example, bad habits? And how does that affect their sort of trading?
Bad habits is a big one. I mean, I get tons of DMs, you know, people telling me like, you know, I'm addicted to like adult content. I'm addicted to, you know, this and that. How do I quit it? I personally, like, honestly, like, I've had to use God to quit any habit that I want to quit. And generally, like when you look at successful traders, honestly, you kind of notice like most of them like believe in some sort of higher power. And I think trading is one of those careers, like I'm not going to talk about it too much in detail, but trading is one of those careers where I think it requires assistance from the higher power. It requires assistance. It's not, you can't do it. Like, I'm not saying you can't do it alone. I couldn't do it alone. And I don't think I was able to quit some habits alone without the assistance from God. And that just shows how hard it is. So when people, turn around and tell someone like, you're just lazy, like you can quit porn by like, redirecting your thoughts to like something else or exercising. No, it's not that easy. It's not that easy. If it was that easy, we'd all be quitting habits and not quitting them for like a month, but actually quitting them for good. And they do affect your performance in trading. Sometimes I've actually told people like with certain habits, you can't even be consistent whilst they're going on in your life. And the reason is they're soul destroyers. They're soul destroyers. They affect your sense of self-worth because it's the same as like, you don't want to do something, but you have no control over it. So now it affects your trust. So when you're at the market, how are you going to trust yourself if you can't even control yourself out off the market,
Tired of missing trades or spending hours at the charts? Introducing my Robot Builders Club. With our platform, you can build bots in minutes, not weeks, without any coding required. Get lifetime access to my video course, VIP community, and over 40 ready-made robots. Works with MT4 or MT5, and as a bonus, you'll get 3 months access to my robot lab, where we build and test bots on live calls every week. Join the hundreds of traders who are trading smarter, not harder. Click the link in the description to learn more, get the free training, and download a free robot. Have you got some like soul destroy, like a top 3 that people might be doing so that they can walk away and go, here we go, maybe I can stop doing these things?
Different things can affect you. Like listening to music whilst you're trading can affect your state of mind, because music has the ability to alter your state of mind. So if some people can't sit still, so they can't accept that boredom. When they say trading is boring, it's meant to be boring, they can't accept that. So they just like, switch between YouTube tabs, playing music and stuff, and music can alter your state of mind. So someone can literally be listening to a song and it's just like led him into a daydream about the past, and he's now, and all of a sudden there's a trade and he just done something impulsively. Whereas the best trades come when you take your time. Like if you think about it, even yourself, that the best trades are the ones that like we're anticipating it and we wait for it and then we pull the trigger. Whereas the ones you quickly jump the gun, they're not even nice. They end up being the losers. The wins are never rough. The wins are never like, you're with your daughter or you're playing a song or something, or you're daydreaming. Oh my God, there's a setup, there's the entry. No, that's the subconscious. You went on autopilot and it quickly took over. Quickly took over.
I mean, I used to do that. Like, so the worst one would be getting to the charts and like within a minute, oh, there's my setup. And then you're in the trade. It's like, how can I possibly be in a trade within a minute? I can't even analyze the thing in a minute. So how was I've seen the trade, I've seen the setup, or probably part of the setup, and jumped in, and then so you're already one hour down or whatever, you've lost the first trade. It's funny you're talking about this, higher power kind of stuff. It just reminds me of what the documentary I've seen with Arnold Schwarzenegger, where he was very much like he'd set that belief in his mind. He just basically embedded it in there. I don't know if people have seen this documentary, but he had like, pictures up on the screen of these bodybuilders that he wanted to be, and he believed that it was going to happen. He could see himself up on the stage and taking that, number one spot of Mr. Universe. And then I think he did the same with the movie biz, and then possibly, well, I'm not too sure if he did it, but with the politics thing as well. So it was all predetermined in his mind that this was going to happen. And similar to what you're saying around, how you saw it happening for yourself, and then made it obviously work, or it did sort of come to fruition. So there was obviously some measuring going on here around your progress. How did you measure your progress so you're able to feel confident in what you were doing and be able to sit out, let's call it 20 trading days a month?
Yeah, in terms of like progress, the moment that I decided to go into psychology was when I literally accepted that our equity curve is a representation of the beliefs we have about the market. So I was like, bro, my equity curve looks like a roller coaster. So something is wrong. But the thing is, after that, it still took a while to see changes because I still had trading like dominate my life. It was like where my faith is today. It was like the core is trading and everything else is like around it. Whereas now it's like my faith is in the middle and trading, my mind, my body, my family and friends are around that. And everything fell into place because, when you prioritize the wrong things, you're not going to be happy, even if you make money. It's like basically making your spouse, your root of happiness. It's like she's not responsible for making you happy. Do you know what I'm trying to say? She don't deserve that. So measuring my progress is like I measure a lot of things. So my progress, like I measure my morning routine, I measure my daily habits, I measure if I followed my trading plan, I measure a lot of things, and the way I do that is quite phenomenal because I know it sounds strange, but sometimes I'm falling asleep and there's just like these, because you're in like theta or beta state or whatever it's called.
Theta state.
Yeah, and there's these thoughts that come to my mind, and it's just like, why don't you write down all the possible obstacles you face from the moment from the moment you're going to sleep to the moment you pull the trigger in the market. And then I realized, oh my God, it's like, okay, what are all the potential reasons that I don't fall asleep on time and have a great sleep? Okay, next, what's all the potential reasons that I might not complete my morning routine as I should? Okay, what's all the reasons that I might find it challenging or to build an analysis or wait for my confirmation, or when it's entry time, or even when I'm in the trade, what are all the obstacles that I might face? Some of them might be like, you might struggle with a target or whatever. So doing that, I was now able to bring all the obstacles that I unconsciously face on paper. So for example, like someone might not complete their morning routine because they've had a bad sleep. They've woke up tired. They've listened to that voice that said, it's okay if skipping meditation today is fine. Like you can do without it for one day. It's raining outside. Just stay in bed for 10 more minutes. I've literally wrote down all the obstacles I face that affect my night routine, morning routine, analysis, waiting for a trade when there isn't an edge. So remember, people think there has to be an edge. Like the good thing about like patience means there is no narrative. There is no analysis. You've done an analysis. So when you come to the chart, you don't analyze of shall I buy or short? You're actually checking to see if your edge is even present. Like it might not be present. When it's not present, you're waiting for your edge to be present, let alone the confirmations and then waiting for an entry. So yeah, I measure my progress like on my Notion. And on my phone, like I'm constantly like ticking, like I'm constantly like literally writing that. Basically, I spend some of my day self-reflecting, like every day.
Because that's what I was going to ask, was that like, given the fact, 2 to 3 trades a month, and it's not unusual. I've had other traders on who take 1 trade a month. And what do you do to fill in the rest of your time? Because you got to think, there's a lot of time here. And I'm guessing at this stage, you're not necessarily, trying to discover or backtest your strategy or anything like that you've done all that sort of stuff. You're now confident in what you're doing. So it is that self-reflection thing across the course of the day. I mean, can you give us like an example of your morning routine for say, or your nighttime routine?
Yeah. My morning routine involves, so I, like a couple of years ago, someone gifted me a book called The Miracle Morning. Now, that was that ultimately was the beginning of everything. it's really strange, but it's like that book, yeah. It's like, it's called Miracle Morning, and it's like the eight habits that help you win the morning before 8 a.m. And now that book, the writer of that book sold millions, and now he's actually teaching it to kids in school, because those 8 habits, which are journaling, meditating, exercising, and there's a couple more. And what I do is I've got like a to-do list, like tick box, yeah, and I just tick them off in the morning. So I wake up, I do this. However, I started by implementing the Miracle Morning routine long enough to realize, okay, these habits are good. They make you happy, they make you more energetic. But now I need to add the trading habits in the morning that prepare me for uncertainty, which is mental visualization, studying my best and worst trades, so I know who I want to be and who I don't want to be. So I'm very familiar. Before coming in the market, I'm already familiar of the trades that I want to wait to see. I remind myself. And just sitting there, just thinking about who I want to be. How do I want to think? How do I want to act like? Like, who do I want to be today? Like, what would make me happy? Like, by the time it's the end of the day and I put my head on the pillow, what would I have had to do to be happy, to be content? So
it's interesting you say the visualization. So not a lot of people talk about that, and I know Tom Hugard, who was on the show, I think it was earlier last year, talked about it as a part of his routine. I mean, how do you? And I've tried to do it. And I couldn't really. I struggled to do it because my mind just kept wandering, and like trying to picture a trade in your head is actually quite hard. It's quite hard to do. So have you got any tricks or tips to help people try and, visualize a trade in their head?
Yeah, it is quite hard. And I actually still find it difficult today, because it's not a habit that I do like loads. I'm actually still trying to get to a point where it becomes like I become good at it. It's practice. Mental visualization is, the correct way of doing it is when you visualize a trade. Say, for example, you visualize being in a trade and it's going in the direction that you want it to go, and you visualize your mind, that voice coming and telling you, like, you want to close this trade or close partials now, just in case it comes back to break even. And then you want to visualize how you normally would respond, and the new way of responding. So you might afterwards visualize taking a deep breath into your belly and then slowly releasing, and then just holding onto the trade, reminding yourself that the part of my trading plan is to hold the trade full volume until TP. So it's like that. It's not that hard, but I think our brain just doesn't want to do it. So it's a matter of doing it for like, maybe do it 2 minutes a day, and then slowly like increase the length of time. You don't want to do it apparently anyways longer than like 5-10 minutes, because your brain will wander off. But I found more you can combine visualization with meditation. So I found more effect, like impact from meditating, like mindful meditation, like sitting there and just noticing. You don't even need to like at the beginning, when you're not great at meditating, your focus is your breath. But afterwards, it's called flexible awareness. Open awareness is when you're just sat in stillness, and every time your mind wanders off, you don't even need to bring your attention back to something. Just notice the thoughts that actually took you away from the present moment. Notice them, and when you're ready, come back.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I did do it once, not once, for a period of time. I was doing it before I went to bed, and I think it was working, and I've stopped doing it because I was just being lazy, I think. Where I'd just sit in the front room, like in the dark, and just go, right, now I can think about everything that's happened in the day, and I'll start from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, and my mind would just go, like, it'd just go crazy. And then at the very end of it, though, like, it could be 20 minutes in, because you're just sort of going through, what happened next? And then it would finally get to the point where I'll be like, oh man, And that was the meditation bit, but it would take me like, yeah, sometimes 20 minutes to get there. Other times, maybe 5-7 minutes, but it would get there and I'd have this meditation thing. Then it would start wandering again after a while. But at that point I was like, okay, I've closed the book on the day and I can go to bed. And I can't even remember if I actually got decent sleeps from it, but I'm guessing I probably did because my sleeping's been pretty average since. Right. Talking about being present. I mean, how important is it?
Yeah, so like what you were just saying, like it's important to know that you're not, don't expect to always have like a great meditation. Like it's not meant to be like that. Sometimes the monkey mind is going to be all over the place. Sometimes you're going to experience like a real ability to just like be present for like that 20 minutes and barely your mind barely wandered off. So don't expect it to always be, it's just a matter of always turning up. And eventually I would encourage like people to actually, so I'm at a point where like I don't only just meditate and notice thoughts, I actually I like, so for example, imagine my hand is my thoughts, right? Imagine when it's at arm length, when my hand, I've got long arms, but when it's at when it's at arm length, and that's your thought, and that's the thought that's saying like, oh man, like surely this is my edge, like let me jump in this trade. You see, when that thought is at arm length, I'm able to watch it and decide what to do with it. So I've literally got my thought at arm length, and I'm just like, wait, my mind is telling me to jump in. No, I'm gonna put this in a piece of paper and chuck it in the recycling bin, that thought, and continue focusing on the objective. Whereas when you don't meditate and visualize and prepare yourself for the market, that thought is here.
Yeah.
You see how it's filtered your view of the market already? Like, do you know what I mean?
That's a great way to look at it.
So that distance between you and your thoughts, that's the response rather than react. That you need to create that space.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I think like people just even doing that as a little technique, get your arm out in front of you, and just before you're placing a trade, am I thinking in the right way? Is this like a thought that has just jumped into my mind, or I'm actually sort of, can I look at it? That's a good little trigger there.
Yeah, I mean, like, think of it, in your daily life, you don't want to pay 100% of your attention to the external world, because your actions and reactions will be from your internal world. So you need to save some of that attention so you can be aware of how you're thinking and feeling towards what it is you're looking at. Because ultimately, we trade our beliefs of the market. We, like, what you think is high, I might think is low. I might think it's a good time to buy. You might think it's a good time to short, or we're looking at the same thing. So save some attention. Not everybody, but most, like a lot of people, they don't save any of their attention. So they're 100% of their attention is on that nature they're looking at. 100% of their attention is on the market. Whereas with me, a lot of my intention is I'm looking at myself. I'm looking at what am I thinking whilst I'm looking at that? Because if I'm not aware of it, I'm just gonna act and then notice after why I did what I did. Yeah. And that's something we'll talk about in a minute, about how I journal while I trade, which has been a game breaker. I learned from some videos of traders on Wall Street or whatever. So
yeah, and it's funny because I think, it did. I play football, and I think a lot of that, and it probably gets ingrained in me and a lot of other people, is it's all instinctive, right? So you don't have time to think most of the time, and you just do stuff, which, going back to trading, is probably kind of not great, because that instinct kicks in and you just want to, just going to do without actually sort of looking at yourself and saying, am I doing what I should be doing? Am I following my rules? What about, like, talking about, it's all subconscious stuff, right? So what does identifying hidden subconscious beliefs look like?
Oh, wow. So the thing is, I'll talk about this, but you should understand, like, Mark Douglas has mentioned that we don't actually need to identify, like, all our hidden beliefs that are controlling our actions. Because if you can instill the new beliefs, the correct beliefs, which is like anything can happen, I don't need to know what's going to happen next to make money, wins and losses are randomly distributed. If you really instill the new beliefs, they will replace any conflicting beliefs without you noticing. However, there may be some beliefs that that you're unaware of, that you need to identify. So I'll give you an example, yeah, and it's quite a think like, if someone was in the underground station, yeah, just imagine yourself, yeah, you're in London, you're in the underground station, you're on your phone, some guy barges into you while he's running past, and you don't say nothing, but in your mind you're like I should go and teach him a lesson. You thought that, but you never said anything, right? Now this person goes home and he breaks down this belief system, and what that belief system looks like is there's characters within us. So there's characters. There's the villain that's like aggressive, wants to show him like he shouldn't have done that. There's the hero that thinks. So for example, let's just say this person has gone home. He's been barged into. He's gone home. He wants to identify what caused him to emotionally react and get annoyed and almost go and show that guy like that you shouldn't have done that. He sits down, breaks down the table, yeah, and he writes like villain. So his villain character is the one that wanted to like do something aggressive. He had the hero. The hero wants to go and show that guy that he shouldn't have done that. That like that doesn't happen in this world. Like you know, someone like trying to make the world a better place. The princess character is someone that like it's the character that it expected. So for example, like he shouldn't have barged into me, like, and then he associates the emotions he felt, so anger, disappointed, and then anyways, after breaking it down, he might come to a realization that the princess character had an underlying belief, which was people shouldn't bump into others in the train station. They don't have a reason to. And then he looks at it while he's breaking down, and he's like, wait, that's ridiculous. It's this train station, people might be in a rush and all sorts, and now he's created skepticism about that belief. And if you create skepticism about a belief, you're not gonna react the same next time it happens, because your hidden belief was nobody should bump. He had a belief before even being in that train station that nobody should bump into someone else. They don't have a reason to be in a rush. It's that they don't have a reason to be in a rush. And when he creates skepticism, next time it happens, he's not gonna think, let me go and show this person like to never do that again, because he now believes that people do have a reason to bump into others. So he's now just do you know what I'm trying to say?
Rewired his belief, basically. He's rewired his belief. What about like, so, you know, trading is a game of probabilities. You know, you've done the data, you talked about data before, you've collected it, you worked out the probability of your system. How does that relate? How can somebody relate that back to their sort of real life and sort of, I suppose, embed that in their mindset around having a probability mindset?
When it comes to probability, so collecting data is just like, honestly, it's key. Like collecting data has helped me like identify which setups I can take before which red news and after which red news. Because without data, I don't have like, I've got like these bunch of setups, but then I've got 40 of them. So I would go and, so it's called deliberate analysis, as Tom would say. It's deliberate analysis is when you've created, like, without the right questions, you won't find the right answers. So if I ask myself, okay, which trades were before CPI red news? Okay, these 34 trades. Okay, how long before CPI news? How far was price away from the news announcement? If I'm in a trade, do I need to get out before CPI? Or am I going to be like these bunch of traders that are just on Forex Factory and they're like, red news, let me get out. So they just get out without a reason to, or they might stay because their mind's convinced them that what if it comes out in my favor? And then they get hit by spreads because they were in the trade where it's close to where price is. the news release, and they've lost more than they've initially risked. And that used to happen to me. So then I've got, so I understand which trades I can stay in, how far from the price, like how much does this news release move the market? That's what collecting data can do for you. Again, traders come to me and they're like, how do you hold trades for so long? It's like, that's a skill in itself. That didn't happen overnight. Again, from collecting data of the bunch of trades I've caught and the bunch of ones I haven't caught, but I would want to catch, I've identified which trades run longer. So I've decided to stick to those ones. They not only run longer, where do they stop and react on the chart? And I've aligned that with the risk to reward and technical. So collecting data will tell you which trades to hold longer, which ones, just so much about them. You're literally understanding the characteristics of the setups, the A+ setups.
Now,
and when it comes to,
I don't know your strategy, right? So it's hard to sort of say, but I mean, have you got any tips when somebody is collecting their data around like not fudging it themselves or making mistakes or being sort of biased around which setups they take and which ones they don't, i.e. kind of breaking the rules that they might not see in real life? Have you got any? So what I'm talking about, like I mentioned this because I've done it myself, is when you go back and you go, oh, that's a setup, I'll take that. That's a setup, I'll take that. That's not a setup, I won't take that. Or I missed that setup because it didn't play out, but it was the setup. But I couldn't see it because it didn't play out. So therefore I missed it. But in real life trading, I would have taken it. Because at the time, when you don't see that it didn't play out, it looked like the setup, or it was the setup, but you missed it from your back test. How have you managed to overcome that around, not being 100% certain that the data you've collected is 100% what you're going to trade going forward?
You have to fail forward. That's the thing. You have to fail to get to the point that you're speaking about. You can't just like backtest or collect data and suddenly you're going to do the right thing at the right time all the time. That's not how it works. You have to collect data and then practice it on the chart. And what I do is I do things in steps. I don't try to become good at everything at once. So I collect data and it's like, I might, for example, spend some time collecting data on the entries, like how they all look like exactly. Because what I'm doing, what's really interesting that nobody really talks about is I'm not only, like Mark Douglas said, found repeatable, like patterns that repeat themselves that I can capitalize off. The whole thing, like I'm trading like a repeatable narrative, a repeatable confirmation pattern, a repeatable entry model, and a repeatable target. I'm trading repeatable setups that hit the same target every time. So, you know what I'm trying to say? So, and they have the same kind of durations and the same pip count. And so like when I'm collecting data, I'm going back and looking at these trades and being like, okay, which ones like go on to do this. So then I decide next time I'm gonna hold this trade longer, or I'm gonna cut 50% and let 50% run till TP until I can learn how to hold full volume. So it's like a step by step. You can't, because you have to build the experience and confidence. And there is a lot of confidence you can build from collecting data, like seeing some. So for example, if you see something do something over and over again, you'll build confidence that it's going to do that again, right? But being in the trade and actually experiencing it is a different thing. And when you experience it over and over again, it's like an epiphany. It's really hard to describe in words. Like nobody truly understands what it's like. You figured the market out without sounding arrogant, because you now like I'm just confident. I'm certain that if I stick to the trading plan after a series of trade, it's going to work out.
Yeah,
I'm certain. So I don't think of closing early in this, but yeah, it's experience. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think for you, it's kind of, well, I mean, with the way you trade and the frequency of trades, I'm guessing it's kind of hard to probably pass a prop firm challenge that's got a time limit, unlike these guys who've got unlimited now. But I mean, can you talk us through the patience around, just talk about patience, how can somebody be more patient with their trading?
Yeah, so like as you said, it could be more difficult for me and the people that trade my way, because if we miss the trade or two that presents itself, because it's bigger risk to reward, but if we miss the trades that present themselves, or we're not at the market at the time that it presented itself, then yeah, we could fail a challenge because of the time constraint. But who cares? That don't define my ability or my skill set as a trader. Like, honestly, not at all. So I'd still rather do the same thing and fail because of time constraint than these people that, encourage others, like just jump in. If you've got like a few days left, like jump in. No, because I'm not here to reinforce bad habits. I'd rather fail by keeping it real and doing the right thing than pass doing the wrong thing. Do you know what I mean? But and again, it's patience. Like, how could you build patience without building trust in the market and in your edge? Do you know what I mean? My patience comes from trust. My trust feeds, my confidence that I will win if I do the right thing. And my confidence, feeds my inner dialogue, and my inner dialogue, do you know what I mean? As Tom would say. So like trust, like I'm patient because I trust my edge will present itself somewhere in the month. And if and that trust, like I said, gives me the confidence that if I do the right thing, I will win. I will come out a winner.
So it all sort of ties in, doesn't it? The patience comes from, it originally stems from the back testing, which gives you the data, which gives you the trust, which gives you the confidence. And then it's just a case of, reinforcing or sticking to that habit, which is probably the hardest thing that people tend to be able to do. Now, last question here before we wrap this thing up. So, I mean, it seems that, successful traders seem to have a belief in themselves than even just, the old average achiever does. I mean, how is this belief sort of, I suppose we've talked about it a little bit, but I mean, can you talk about a bit more around how is that self-belief? How can somebody give themselves that self-belief where they go, okay, and I'm not talking about getting the data and all that sort of stuff, but more of just of a belief of like, I am going to be successful in this. I can make money in this. It can be, it's going to be my sort of like, what I'm going to do in the future. How can somebody do that?
Yeah, for sure. I just remembered something. I'll definitely answer your question, but just back to patience quick. I don't know if you've heard of like macro patience, micro speed. So it allows you to gain clarity towards like a fixed long-term like goal. So for example, like if I want a healthy long-term relationship, if I want financial freedom, if I want to build a successful business, it takes years. It takes a decade to do that. But on the day-to-day basis, I'm fast. I'm working very fast. But what I want to do, what I want to achieve in the long term, I understand it can take long. Whereas traders have that reversed. On a day-to-day basis, they're quite slow in the way they move, the maneuver and stuff, yeah. And then in their long-term vision, they want that to happen overnight. You know what I mean? So for me, it's like, we need to act in a way of urgency, but in a healthy way. So for example, like I see people like walking to the gym and taking their time. It's like, how do you have so much time on your hands? Like I'm walking fast, like military style to the gym. There's every minute counts. I'm not only going to be held accountable on how I spend my time in this world. I'm holding myself accountable. Do you know what I mean? I really cherish time. Like whether you're not married or you've got a family yet. I think time is expensive. So I think time flies. Not a lot of people talk about it. How time flies, and it's not because you become adults. It's just a week. A day begins to feel like a week begins to feel like a month begins to feel like a year. And people start to try to fight that. And they think they need to succeed fast because of time. But the way of succeeding is just as old as time. It's by being patient and putting in the work.
Look, I think you're making a valid point there around time as being, it's almost this, people get it wrong. People get it wrong when they start out in a particular trading style or strategy or whatever. Like, I mean, I remember back in the day, I'd be like, what, a daily strategy, trading the daily candles? Oh, that's going to take forever. Oh, it's too slow. All this kind of stuff. And the reality is, when you actually trade the daily strategies, you only have to go at the charts once a day, and you do your analysis, and you place your orders, and away you go, or you place your alerts and away you go. That's actually a good thing. And the thing is, your days add up. So you do a week, like a week in your life is just, it's 5 days. You've got 5 candles there. You've got 5 candles, multiple markets. All of a sudden that time thing just expands, and you go, if you can get through that little bit of initial slowness, or what appears to be slowness, which could be, I'm going to trade the 4-hour candles. Oh, this is slow, 4 hours. But after 3 days, you've had like lots and lots of 4-hour candles to go through. But at the initial outset, you're like, I'm at the charts. I'm waiting for a candle to close. I've got another 3 hours, 59 minutes to go. It seems long. What are your thoughts on that? Because I think there's something in there, and nobody's ever really talked about it.
I think like when it comes to like that, it's all like there's a lot of things combined, right? So for me, it's like yeah, like I said, people feel like there's just so much variables that cause someone to rush something. Or the thing is, the process like takes a while, and you will be putting in more effort and hours until it becomes habitual, like the consistent traders, where they're at a point where like, it's like they still have to, like be present, everything, but they just come to the charts. They've built a high level of like trust that they're going to do the right thing, so they can spend minimal time. Whereas when you're not at that level yet, you do have to put in more time, like behind the scenes, to develop the skills and stuff. But the quicker people accept like the process, and set themselves like a longer term goal, they'll just be happier. Because but again, why would they set a longer term goal if they don't have the self-belief? And I feel like self-belief is like, it's created again, there's so much, it's trading is like a puzzle. It's like a mystery, and it's crazy. It's like when one piece is missing, it's like the puzzle's now like it's shaken, you know what I mean? It's
incomplete.
It's incomplete. And one of the things is like self-belief. It's like, you need to be honest with yourself, and traders are not very honest with themselves. They're not looking in the mirror. Like, they're facing the market, which is like the most real mirror the world has got to offer, because that literally will expose all the flaws you can't even see. But the mirror in real life, you can see, and they're still not telling themselves like, look, I am addicted to the market. I haven't even taken 2 weeks off for the last 4 years. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I do have like gambling like tendencies, or I do wanna like be in the market to fulfill my void or loneliness, or I want a good feeling, I'm addicted to it, or I have bad habits, or I'm acting out of desperacy, I want to escape my 9-to-5 job. Or so the first step to change is being honest with yourself. Otherwise, where's the self-belief going to come from? How are you going to believe in yourself if you haven't even become honest with yourself, who you are? Do you know what I mean?
It's I think that's sort of like having longer term goals. And even if it is like, just go, if you're going to be trading the 4-hour time frame or a 15-minute time frame or something like that, and you even think that's too slow, just give yourself a week. Say, let me see how it goes after a week, and then the next week I can assess. And trust me, after that first week, you'll be like, this is actually pretty good, because I'm spending less time at the charts, and I'm following my rules, versus like sitting there going, I don't want to trade 4-hour candles because they're too slow, or something like that, Let's dive into that last question here around self-belief. So getting yourself that belief that you are going to be successful at this, how can somebody go about that?
I think they need to, like, you can't just wake up and just like believe in yourself. You need to break components down. So I would say, like, I would advise everyone, to actually like pause for a second, pause of trying to become something and actually go and identify what it truly takes to become that something. Because most are trying to be something, and they don't actually know how to be it. So they're just trying, and they're actually heading in the wrong direction. And that's why it always feels like they're close, but never close enough. Because to become a professional trader, you need to develop certain skills. And if they can identify them, then you need to identify how you develop those skills. And then you need to identify how you're going to develop those skills. Because my way of developing the skill might be like, I work on one skill at a time. I work on detaching results from my ego for like a few months. I work on execution. I work on like flawless managing a trade well for like a few. There's so much skills that make a trader, and you want to like develop them, work on them like one by one. Some like if you develop like self-awareness, a high level of self-awareness, it works the others by itself. So for example, like just being aware of like, you might have an argument with your spouse, and you just know that it's not a right time tomorrow to trade, because it usually affects your state of mind, because you try to like make up for it by being in the market. So that awareness. So I think I think they need to like break the components down, like really understand the skills required, like undoubtedly. So for example, like you can't be consistent without thinking in probabilities. You can't be consistent without self-awareness. And this is why I could have one conversation with someone and I know what you're about. And because it's psychology becomes part of your identity as a trader. If you're truly a trader, you can't speak without this kind of language or these kind of topics being uttered like here and there, whereas some people can talk about technicals for a whole podcast and never mention something about mindset. But how as a trader, how are you able to do that when trading is 90% or if not 100% psychology, and it becomes part of your identity? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Hey, look, this has been fantastic chat, Younis. We're going to wrap things up here. So what's the best way for folks to get hold of you?
Yeah, so you've got my Instagram. Which is EunisWard _. So I'm sure you'll attach that in the description. That's it for now. I'm being encouraged to create a Twitter. Apparently the Twitter space for trading is starting to like ramp up now. It used to be crypto, but for me, it's like I need a good reason to add noise to what I already have. Otherwise, I'm not just doing things just for the sake of it. Do you know what I mean? So, but Instagram is a great place to like, catch a lot of value. There's a free Telegram channel now with like nearly 1,000 people. And it's like, I'm constantly dropping some very helpful tips in there.
Awesome. Well, look, folks, what we'll do is we'll put a link in the show notes so you can go and see Younis's page there, and all links to his social medias will be there. So if he gets a Twitter, then you'll be able to go and check that out. Hey, folks, until next time, I wish all my listeners trading happiness and success. All right, folks, there you go. Interview done and dusted with Younis. Now, do remember, we've got that video dropping with Gensler this week, the Hong Kong gap. You're going to want to find out what this market phenomenon is. And we also have a new trader hitting out our live streams with Zach doing the 25K Blue Guardian challenge. And we've got an update on those challenges at the end of the week. So if you do want to see how not just Zach's getting along, but how Gensler's getting along, and myself even, with one of the robots from Robot Lab Live, then go and check it out over there on Trading Nut. And last but not least, we are doing that promo on the Robot Builders Club this month of July, where you're going to get yourself a Blue Guardian challenge if you join. All right, folks, enough from me. Have a great trading week, and we'll see you in the next video.